following us on YouTube. If you missed this training, you can always go on YouTube and watch it there, by the way. Hey, if you miss, you can go on YouTube and watch our training. It's already there. Yes, our training is already there. Any training you miss, don't worry. You just come on YouTube. Just come on YouTube and follow. Yes, everything will be there. Everything will be there. Everything will be sorted, and everything will be doing great. Yes, today we are going to look at trade settings. Today we are going to be looking at trade settings. We are going to be looking at trade settings, how to design your settings to make for you very, very good money. That's going to be our focus today. So uh, all of you who are following our training, thank you so much for joining in. First of all, in case you miss anything, don't worry. You can always just visit. You can always just visit our YouTube channel and rewatch this training. It will be recorded there. Our trainings are recorded on our YouTube channel. You can always join in there and watch all the missed trainings you have missed. Anyway, thanks everyone who has attended the class. I'm seeing a list of people from different areas, from Uganda and from other countries. I'm seeing Francis from DRC. Uh, Other people in diaspora, you are all very welcome. I'm seeing Dr. Iso from Cameroon. You are all very welcome. Today, I'm going to be talking about trade settings. We're going to be talking about trade settings. Yes, trade settings. Many people are doing this business. They are trading, but they don't know how to design trade settings. Today, I'm going to give you a trade setting which will help you be out of floating loss ever. Okay? If you want to avoid floating loss, today I'm going to give you a training which will help you really so much to make it and enjoy your business. Yes, to make it and enjoy your business. These trainings will help you avoid floating loss. The training we are going to have today. Yes, let me share my screen. Let me share my screen. I think now you can see my screen. My screen is visible, right? Yes, my screen is visible. So now, how do you avoid floating loss? How do you avoid floating loss? The way we avoid floating loss is simple. Leaders, I want you to understand our business. Okay, I'm going to give you two strategies. I'm going to give you two strategies. But this is how we avoid floating loss. I want you to be attentive in this class, not to. I want you to be attentive so that you can learn something. Okay? In crypto, we are traders. Okay? Trading is one of the oldest profession in the world. Trading has been here for a very long time, just like prostitution. Some people didn't know prostitution has been here for a very long time. Eh? Even during the Roman Empire era. Trading has been here for a very long time. We are traders. What do traders do? For a very long time, since back then, before Christ era, BC, traders do this. They buy low and sell high. This is the concept of traders. Buy low, sell high. Whatever you are buying. By then, they were buying slaves at low price. Were they even buying? Yes, they were buying them from chiefdoms. You buy low, sell high. They came here in my homeland in Africa. They bought slaves from our kings and chiefdoms. They give them mirrors, they give them clothes, they're giving them guns. They are giving them these simple things. Then they go in Europe, they go in America, and they are selling these slaves at a very high price. You get the point? Okay. They were selling these slaves at a very high price. Just imagine. You get the point? So they are selling them at a higher price. That's what we call trading. If my business I'm selling cars, what do? I buy a car at a cheaper price. Let's assume I buy it at $5,000 and I sell it at $8,000. You get the point? I deduct my expenses during the process. Let's assume my expenses were $1,000. That means I'll stay with the $2,000 as profits. So these are profits. That is trading for you. Same concept. Here you trade, you deduct the expense. What is the expense we have here? This is the fuel of 20%. Not so? So the money you stay with is the profit. Now, how do you handle floating loss? The concept of handling floating loss is simple. Buy low. Buy low. If possible, buy lower or lowest. Make sure you are in low. Let me arrange them. Low, lower, lowest. That is the simplest way of understanding this. I may use trading terminologies like lower low. In trading, we name it lower lows. When you want to avoid floating loss, buy during lower lows. Hey, but let me use the simplest language for everyone to understand. Buy low, buy lower, buy lows. If you're trading a certain coin and it drops, keep buying it. Keep buying, keep buying, keep buying, keep buying, keep buying, buy and buy and buy and buy and buy. Eh? Keep buying. In other words, don't stop, buy. Other people, the mistake they do when they buy low and the coin go lower, they start panicking. And in case it goes lowest, my goodness, they panic more. Even others sell the coin at loss. Man, what are you doing? Are you a trader? Be a real trader. When we are trading, the first rule, be emotionally detached. Be emotionally detached. When you are trading, get off your emotions from the markets. Get off your emotions from the market. This market is not yours. The market is not yours. So if you start putting your emotions in our markets, you are going to be emotionally shattered. The market doesn't know you. It will either go up or it will go down. So be emotionally detached from the market. That is the reason why you hired the robot. The robot doesn't have emotions. The robot follows what we call strategy. The robot follows strategies, not emotions. Eh? A robot is like a car. Our robot is like a car. When you are driving your car, even if you are going even if you are going to your enemy, even if you are going in the dark place, even if you are going in a place where there is water, where there are animals and dogs, the car doesn't fear because it doesn't have emotions. But maybe if you were riding a donkey or a camel or maybe a horse, it would be putting emotions in your journeys. But this is a machine, this is a robot. It never have emotions. Same concept here, leaders. When we are trading, please don't put your emotions in the marketplace. Don't put your emotions in the don't put your emotions in the marketplace. Be emotionally detached. Be strategic. So let's assume I'm trading a token called WLD. Do you have people who are trading this coin and you are in floating loss? Let me see your hands up. Let me see your hands up. People who are trading WLD and at the moment you are in floating loss. Let me see you. Okay, you're trading WLD and you are in floating loss. Let me see you. Let me see people who are in floating loss of WLD. Don't put your hand up. Don't put your hand down, please. Let me see. Dr. Iso only. Anyone else? Anyone else trading WLD? Claudie? Wow. Anyone else? Anyone else? Anyone else trading WLD? Anyone else trading WLD? Okay. These only two. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You can lower. Let me lower down your hands. Now, let's assume I'm trading WLD. This token you are seeing here has ever been at $10. Okay? It has ever been at $10. Then the market dropped. Let's assume your robot bought it at 10. So you were expecting it to go to at 11 and you sell, but it didn't. So the market started dropping instead. Right now, WLD, I guess it is at, I think 4 point something dollars. So it went down to 8, it went down to 6, it went down to 5, it went down to 5.5. Here it was 5.5. Then here it was at 5. Then it's at 4. Now, here it was high, it was at a high price. Then here it went low. Here it went low, it became low in price. Then it kept on dropping low, low, low. Now this is the lowest I've talked about. So it went low, low, lower, lower, and lower. So in trading, we have what we call lower low. We have what we call lower, lower low. The lower low. Whenever the market drops more than the previous low, we call it the lower low. That's why even when the market goes higher than the previous high, we name it a higher high. A higher high. This high is higher than the previous one. Those who attend Leader Harriet's trainings and Dr. Fred, you understand these things. For me, I don't teach trading. Okay? So now, when the market drops lower, please buy. So that means your robot could be buying here, could be buying here, should be buying here, it bought here, and it should be buying more here. You get the point? So now the WLD is at $4, but it might go up at $10. How do you avoid floating loss? Whenever your robot buys lower, it changes what we call average price. For example, the robot bought at $10 at first. Now that is the average price. So that means the robot should be selling if this coin goes above 10. But if the robot buys this token at $4, that means now the robot will change the average price from 10 and gives it another price. And that price should be lower. You may find it out that now your average price is 6. You get the point? Why did it change it? Because it has bought this token at a lower price. And the robot calculates that if it sells at $6, you will be in profit and out of floating loss. Even the tokens it bought at 10, if they are sold at 6, it will cover up with these ones it has bought at 4 and make sure that you are not in losses. Are you getting the point? And make sure that you are not in losses. So in other words, This will help you always to be out of trades and with the profits. That's one way of avoiding floating. So when you are designing your settings, please, I'm going to give you a strategy. This is the strategy. What to explain them and then we put them in our settings so that it is understood by everyone. Let's assume my trading capital is $500 and I'm going to design settings for $500. So if we are going to use this strategy, this is what we are going to do. Let me change the color. This is what we are going. This is what we are going to do. If I'm designing settings for $500 using the strategy of 50-50, I'm designing my settings like this. The first 5 buys, the first margin call, and the first 4 margin calls, the robot will inject in $250. Okay? And then the next margin calls, the robot will inject in another $250. So what do I mean by this? The 50-50 means these are the whole positions. What is the whole position? In the robotic settings, the first 5 buys of the robot sells them at once. The robot never buys, never sells independently. The first 5 buys. The first 5 buys, the robot never sells them independently. It sells them as a whole. Okay? It sells them as a whole. Then the next margin calls from the 50th one up to infinity, actually up to the 1001, the robot can sell them independently. So someone can decide that my next 50% of my capital should be in the next margin calls, whereby the robot which can sell independently. Those are what we call sub-bin real-time settlement strategy. The robot is buying and selling. Or someone can decide that the first 5 buys should be the main business. The next buys should be my insurance. Hey, should be my insurance. That if the market drops, I get a chance of buying lower and lowest. And I sell all of them at once. That is whole warehouse. That is my best strategy. Me as a person. I'm not talking about you. I mean me. For me, I enjoy whole warehouse more than sub-bin in real time. You get the point? So the robot will be using the other 50% to cover up my trades. Okay? To cover up my trades. That is the first strategy of 50-50. The second strategy of 40-60, that means that if I'm having $500, my robot will inject in $200 in the first 5 buys and the $300 in the next margin calls. This is some other people's strategy, whereby these people are targeting that the robot should spend more money in the sub-bin real-time settlement mode margin calls. That these independent margin calls should be having more money since the robot sells them independently. We're going to look at that. We're going to look at that when we are trading. Okay. Now let's go to our robots. Let's go to our robot. Then you tap mine. Then you tap my strategy settings. Do you see the nicknames I have for my trade settings? The first one is Kolasente Weyagari. Kolasente Weyagari means make money and enjoy. And the other one is saying fanya kazi. Do you have people who speak Swahili here? Okay. So the other setting is saying fanya kazi. Hey, we are looking for money. Now I'm going to design new settings. We're going to use the 50-50%, 50-50 strategy. What does the 50-50 strategy? We are going to use a study case of $500. When I was teaching you how to design trade settings, I usually told you that do this. Get your capital, go to your calculator, write down your capital here. Okay. Write down your capital here. Divide your capital by the number of margin calls. For example, can say divide by 20. That means you are going to have 20 margin calls. The answer you get is the first buying amount. The answer you get is the first buy amount. Switch off the AI margin call. Now, put here our number of margin calls. Put 20. Okay? Put 20. Now, the percentage take profit ratio, you can put 3%, but that is adjustable. Whole position take profit callback, put 0.01. You can even cram that. Now, the main business is here on the margin configuration. Leaders, whenever you are trading, my advice is please use 40% drop as a default setting. Why for me I advise 40%? Do you remember what I told you in the marketplace? Be emotionally detached, be strategic. Most of you want to rush in the market to make quick money, but you can be in floating loss for 2 months. You can make in the first week, you can make very good money, then you be in floating loss for a week, for a month, or 2 months, or 3 or 4, because you had a bad strategy. Never put all your money in a trade. When I was learning trade, my tutor told me that when you are trading, use 20% of your capital. Imagine. Then I asked him, now, what is 80% doing on the wallet? It's like, he said that 80% is helping you as insurance, just in case the market drops. And for me, I'm telling you here, my teacher told me 20%, but for me, I'm telling you 50%. My teacher was like, if you have $1,000, use only 200 to trade. The 800 should be there to help you as a backup and as an you use it an opportunity to buy at the lowest price. Imagine you had bought WLD at $10 and right now it's at $4. You could use your 80% to back it up and buy more of those tokens. You get the point? That was his strategy. But here I'm telling you, use 50%, 50-50. Okay? 50%, put it in the market, 50% is going to be insurance. Our first 4 margin calls, the drop should be at most 5%. For example, you can be like 0.2, 0.2, 0.2, no, 0.5, not 0.2, 0.5%. Now that is 1%, 0.5, 0.5. That is 2%. So the first 4 margin calls, even if I'm trading signals, if I'm given a signal with the leader Namayega Zam, and I enter that signal, in case that signal drops 2%, it would have injected in my 50% capital. Categorically. If I'm having $500, my $250 is already in the market now. How about the next 50%? Come here. How many margin calls are we remaining? 20 minus 4. How many are remaining? That means we are remaining with 16. Come here. So 40% minus 2%, which I have already covered, that means we are remaining with 38. 38 minus 16 margin calls remaining. All the next margin calls are dropping at 2.3%. So come here, 2.3%. By the way, is that understandable? Or I've confused somehow? Let me redo the formula. The first 4 margin calls at most give them 5% drop, but I advise 2%. 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. Or you can put 1%, and they cover 4% or 5%. 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. Now that is 2%. Now the next of margin calls we have, they are 16. So remember we said we are going to cover 40%. So that means 40, we have already covered it 2 in the first 4 margin calls. Now we are remaining with 38. Now 38% divide by 16 margin calls, you get 2.3. Now this is the one we put here on our next margin calls. So you give them 2.3 drop. 2.3 drop. 2.3 drop. Remember, you can have as many margin calls as possible. Your capital matters. Your capital matters. 2.3 here, put 23 instead, sorry. 2.3, 2.3, 2.3, 2.3, 2.3. Okay, now 2.3, 2.3, 2.3. Now here you put 11%. 11%. 11%. 11%. 11%. 11%. You see, these are 11%. So no, 11 times. Sorry, not 11%. Sorry. So these are the percentages. These are the drops. When we count all our drops, they are covering 40%. Leaders, use 40% as a strategy. Why? You don't know the market. You have seen how the market has happened this week. Haven't we all seen the market? There are coins which had gone almost over 30% negative. What if you had a drop of only 5%? All your capital is in 5%. Are you a trader or you a joker? When you are trading, be strategic. Protect your capital. Nothing is wrong with being with USDT on your Binance. Many people, you are fighting your USDT. You don't want to see USDT in your account. You want all your money to be in the market. You should be a strategic trader. So our 50% of capital is in the first 5 buys. The first buying amount and the first 4 margin calls. Our rest of the 50% of our capital is in a backup. That means even if Leader Namaiga Zam gives us a signal, I enter that signal. My capital is only $500. She has given us a signal of WLD. Take 3% current price. I enter that trade. When I enter that trade, in case it drops 2%, my capital enters 50%. My 50% remains as a backup. Just in case. Leader Namaiga Zamu's strategy. Leader Namaiga Zamu's signal has gone down. Because Leader Zam is not the one who moves the market. Or Leader MRD, the signal master. He doesn't move the market. Not at all. See Afuga Katari. Mnai, for these leaders, they are very beautiful. They go in the market, they get us a signal, they give it to us. For us, we put it in. But after putting in the trade, boom, Bitcoin is crushed and all coins follow it. The market drops 30% in the 24 hours period. What will you do? The question is, will you be in floating loss or will you be taking it as an opportunity? Your strategy will tell. If your strategy, you are putting all your money in 5% drop, you will be done. If your strategy, you are at least covering 40%, you will be taking up an opportunity to buy low. Do you remember when I was starting my training, I said, a trader's A trader's strategy is buy low, sell high. When you want to handle floating loss, buy lower, lower, lowest. Imagine a coin has dropped 40% and we are still buying. That means we are taking an opportunity. On the times, always do one times. One times the first buying amount. One time is the first buying amount. That means on every drop, the robot will be injecting into $25, $25, $25. Now this is a settings for $500. Then you confirm. Buy in callback, give it 0.1. Suppose you take profit callback 0.01. Cycle, make it one shot. Okay, make it one shot. People who are trading cycle, your drops should be more than 50%. You are seeing the market, how it moves. You can name your settings, what you want. Okay, for example, I can name it 50-50. Okay, 50-50 strategy. That strategy, you can use it in suburban real-time settlement or wall warehouse. For me, I prefer wall warehouse. Yeah. Why? Wall warehouse help you to decrease floating loss effectively. Suburban real time never helps you to avoid the floating loss. It only takes opportunity in the market trend. When the market goes down, you keep on buying and selling down the market, but the coin never goes up. The coin will never stop. The coin will never go out. You get the point? The coin will never go out of floating loss. I bought WLD at $10. If I'm in suburban real time and the coin right now is at $4, that trade will stay. However, I was still earning from it. I will still earn from it in the suburban real time settlement. Wall warehouse, you have a very big chance of getting out of that trade. You are buying it at lower and lowest, hence changing the average price. Are you getting the difference, leaders? Let me draw that difference. Let's start with wall warehouse. Wall warehouse. What is wall warehouse? When I'm trading a token called Sol, when it's at $200, and this coin it drops to 130, that means it's making floating loss, right? If I'm in wall warehouse and my robot has been buying low, and lowest, my average price of $200 will change from $200 maybe to somewhere over 150 or 160 or 140. Let's assume my average price has changed from $200 to 160. If this token comes up, there is a big chance that it can come up and hit here more than at $200 where I bought it from. I can get out of the market. The robot will sell this token on a profit, not on a loss. Okay, it will do its calculations whereby it is selling for you on a profit, and you get out of that trade and you trade another coin. But with suburban real time, when a token drops, okay, when a token drops from $200 to $130, the first 4 margin calls, it will have to sell them at once. Now that is the average price. The next margin calls, the robot will be buying and selling them independently. That means it will be keeping on making money here, but it will never sell the full positions until the market comes up. Those are the difference. All these two strategies are very good. Pick what you want, stick with that one. Okay? Have you understood the 50% strategy? Now let's come to 40% strategy. 40% strategy is simple. If you're having $1,000, if you're having $500 as your trade strategy, the first 4 margin calls will only be having 40% capital. That's like $200. The $300 will be in the next margin calls, which are sold independently. Sabo being real-time settlement, or even Wallwire House. Because the default settings of the robot, let me show you the default settings of the robot. When you tap the plus in the corner, the settings you are seeing there are default settings. These default settings are for $3,500 and above. Someone to use this strategy, this is how it was designed. The robot is designed, this strategy is the robot injects in more money whenever the market drops. I think you see the difference. On the last margin call, where the robot buys the lowest, it will inject in 128 times $15. 128 times the first buying amount, which is 15. That means the robot will inject in almost $2,000 in the last margin call. So the robot's strategy is buy lower and lowest with the more money. And by the way, this is the best strategy. And fortunately, we can't afford it. Many of us, we can't afford this strategy. But it would be the best. Why? If I bought this token with only $15 when it was still at $10, this is WLD, and now it's at $4, I've injected in $2,000. I can never be in floating loss. My average price will drop from 10 down to almost $5. And I will sell this token instantly, even when I'm not in floating loss and when I'm in huge profits. That is how to handle floating loss in your trading strategies. In my trainings, I don't want to waste a lot of time, and I'm also done, unless someone has a question. If you have a question, please, you can ask a question. Anyone with a question, depending on what we have started, anyone with a question, you can raise up your hand. If you have a question, raise up your hand on what we have learned today. Someone is saying I'm not clear. Hey, I've seen this message lately. Kai, am I not clear even right now? Livingstone Oburu, ask please on what we have learned. Eh? Don't be off topic. Unmute yourself and ask your question, sir.
Okay, my question is on the Wallwire House.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir.
Now, on your explanation, you said, I didn't understand where you were explaining Wallwire House. This is where you say that the Wallwire House can even sell when the market is still on red, when the market is down, because it buys at different prices and can sell all of them at an average price when the market goes up. So something that I didn't get in there. Did you mean that you can sell even when the market is still down?
Let me explain it again. Let's assume you bought, let me use Bitcoin. Bitcoin was at $70,000. Your robot bought it. Then Bitcoin went down to $40,000. If you have been in Wallwire House and the robot has been buying margin calls, in Wallwire House, the robot never sells margin calls independently. It just buys, but it never sells. But whenever it buys a certain margin call on any drop, it will change this average price from 70,000, and the average price will be changing. Let's assume here it was 60. Here it was 59. Here it was at 55. Here that was 54, then at 40,000. So you see that the average price will keep on changing from 70,000 maybe to here. The more it buys, it changes the average price. So that means if Bitcoin comes up from 40,000 back to 59, the robot can sell from here without waiting to reach at 7 where it bought from in the first place. You get the point? That's why you find that let's assume if someone is trading in one warehouse, you can buy a certain token and the same period, and for them they close that deal earlier before you do. Because for you in suburban real-time settlement, your robot waits to sell the first four margin calls. We call them hollow positions. If when the market comes up again, even if it takes 2 months, the robot will wait. But with Wall Warehouse, it's a different case. These two strategies are profitable. Wall Warehouse and suburban real time. Each everyone has a benefit more than the other. Wall Warehouse, sometimes you miss days without making money because your robot is just say buying. Suburban real time, you are making money every time. Whenever the market drops, you buy margin calls, you sell. When the market comes up, the robot sells those margin calls and you make profits. Even if the market has not come up again back to its previous price where you bought from. That is the difference. You get my point,
Thank
Linda?
you.
Thank you so much. That's the
Yes,
difference.
yes.
That's the only difference.
And
All of them
then another
serve the
one.
same. Yes, the last question. Mm-hmm.
The other question was on the 50-50 strategy. I was following up the math there for the first four margin call buy, including the first buying amount. I
Yes.
tried to add the figures and it was coming to 225. And yet we were expected to use 250. So where is the other 25? Because we are
It
using
was
50-50.
2 to 5. Maybe I made a mistake.
Yes.
25 times 5. It was 125. I'm seeing 125, not even 225.
125 years.
We can increase. Maybe I made a mistake. We can increase. Let me see. For example, where are our margin configurations? Okay. We can, okay. Where is our strategy 225? Okay, it's here. Margin configuration. Okay. But see, if all about, that means they have made $500, not so? If all margin calls are bought, all the 20, they have made $500, right? So I made a mistake when I was designing them. For example, in our first four margin calls, we can say that 250 divided by 5. That means each is buying with $50. So here you can say 2 times, 2 times, 2 times, 2 times. Okay. So that means now the robot has injected in $250. Now, that means the
That
number
is
of margin calls.
225. That's
Uh,
225.
these
This
are
is 225 because
225.
the first buying amount,
The first
the
buy
first
amount is
buying amount
50.
is 25 only.
Okay,
It's
here you can make
25.
three. You can make three times. Now that means this is a 250 still. Now that means the number of margin calls can decrease, or we can do this. We can remain here with the 1 times, 1 times, 1 times, and then in these 10, the first 10 margin calls, we make all of them 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. That means they make 5%. Okay. So from first margin call to the 10th margin call, they have made 5%. So now we're remaining with the 10 margin calls. We get our 35% divided by 10. That means the rest of the margin calls will be with 3.5%. 3.5%. Thank you, leader, for reminding me this. I had miscalculated. 3.5%. Uh, 3.5, 3.5, 3.5. I think now the calculation is okay. Not so?
Yes, yes, yes,
Yes. Now, if 3.5, the last 10 margin calls, the first ones were 0.5, that means they make a total number of 5%. Okay? 5% only. The rest will make 35%. So that can be still 50-50%. But this will be for all warehouse. If someone is trading with sub-bin real-time settlement, then they will do something different. What is that? They will change the times here. Okay? Because sub-bin real-time settlement only covers the first four margin calls are the only which are sold as a whole. The rest are independent. So that means you can always change here, or you change the number of margin calls. The number of margin calls you have. I think I've answered that. That's any more
yeah,
question?
yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. Okay, anyone with a question? Anyone with a question before we close our training?
Now,
If you have a question, yes, sir.
if I
Proceed.
made a mistake some time back, and now I want to correct that mistake. For example, I have a very big floating loss of around 40, and I want to bring it back now to sell. I've not been buying
Okay.
margin calls, but the floating lot has gone so high, so low down.
Well, that's an
So how do
opportunity to
I
buy.
correct that?
That's an opportunity to buy. You go to that coin, give it more margin calls. Even if you are in sub-bin real time. If you are in sub-bin real time, what you do, you come here on distributed and take profit allocation, you change the take profit percentage to a bigger percentage. For example, you can say that my last margin call, set it at 10%. The robot will take time to sell these margin calls, hence helping you to decrease the floating loss. You get the point?
Yes, yes, yes.
Because when you increase this take profit, you might find out that it is going to sell it almost in the same time with the whole positions. So whatever margin call it's buying, it is not selling it instantly, like it is at 1.3%. Because whenever it buys a margin call, the robot will decrease the negative. But if you are in sub-bin real-time settlement, if it sells that margin call, the changes will go back to normal. That's why you find someone, when the robot buys a margin call, they have been in a trade and it was negative 40. The robot buys a margin call, the negative drops to 35. But when the robot sells that margin call, the negative will go back to 40. That is what happens. But you can do two things. Either you do this or you add margin calls and you enjoy that coin. Because it will always buy margin calls and sell them, and it gives you profits. So coins which are in negative, they are the best coins. Give them margin calls, let them be. They are going to buy and sell, buy and sell, buy and sell. You are going to even be there without trading any signal from the group, because for you already have a coin which is running. I think I've answered you, sir. Mm-hmm.
Yes, you've answered me. Thank you.
Thank you so. Thank you so
In the
much,
past,
Mr. Lee.
I used not to touch that part of distributed and take profit allocation. Normally when we are
Yes.
setting the coins, we don't touch that area. So I
Yeah,
didn't
we
know that
don't.
it can also be adjusted.
It can be adjusted. You can even tell your robot to sell for your margin calls at 5%. But these things must be calculated. The best, if you are in sub-bin real time, the best take profit for margin calls should be little. Okay, it should be it should be a small percentage. Why? Remember, a coin is in a downtrend. When a coin is in a downtrend, these margin calls, when are bought, the robot can do a higher low. We call it higher low. For example, let me draw here. We are trading WLD. It has started dropping. This was the high. It did a low, a lower, a lower low. Then it does a lower high. We call it higher low or lower high. Traders, are we there? But whatever the name. So this lower low is lower than this. This is higher. It's a higher low. Okay? So that means this low is still lower than the high, but it is higher than the low. So if your robot bought a margin call on this level, it will sell it on this level. But remember, the take profit percentage will be small. So you might calculate it and it's at 1.5%. So that means if you always give your robot higher take profit for sub positions, for example, you give it 4%, you find your robot not selling any margin call. Am I communicating? Because whenever the market makes a lower low, the higher low it makes will be smaller. But for you give it a higher take profit. Cut robot the robot won't sell it. You told it to sell at 4, the market has only gone 1.5. That means the robot won't sell, and then it keeps on dropping. You will be as if you are in a wall warehouse. Your robot will be just buying margin calls. The only thing it will help you to decrease your negative, but you are not selling margin calls. Until the market comes back up, that's when you will benefit. Someone is asking, leaders, is it possible to change the strategy of a coin when it has reached the last margin call set and the capital is still there? Yeah, you can add just margin calls anytime. You tap trade settings, you change the margin call limit. For example, from 10, you make it 15. Now you edit the last 5 as you want. Nisima Catherine is asking how to set the 50-50. Oh, that's what I've talked about in the whole video. You're going to come back on YouTube and rewatch. You're going to come back on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is called Reality Robot Game Changers. Come and visit it. Then you rewatch the training. Kayemba Jovan is asking, we are not seeing the screen. I'm even live on YouTube. The screen is very visible. Restart your phone, sir. I think we are going to end here. It's 1 p.m. It is 1 p.m. My trainings are always 1 hour and less. I don't want to go beyond that. Thank you so much for attending. Don't miss these trainings. Every day at 12 p.m. we have a training from different leaders and different trainers teaching you different things. Be attentive in class. Whatever is taught, practice it. What works for you, stick to that. Okay? We have very many trading strategies. Today, this is my strategy I've told you. Tomorrow, another teacher can come with another strategy. Even another teacher comes with another strategy. Practice any of our strategies. What works for you, stick to that. Hey, what works for you, stick to that. Akakorera kosigaza. Thank you so much. Have a great time. See you at the top. This training is recorded on YouTube. If you have missed anything, always come and visit and learn more. Have a great time. See you.
See you. Thank you.
See you. Thank you.